Hi, this is Dave, and welcome to the weekly market recap, closing out the week for Friday, October the 4th, 2013. So it's been we had an update on Friday. We've had a pretty good downtrend here. Let's start off the analysis as we usually do on the daily chart of the Dow, using that as a proxy for the stock market. And let's take a look at, we're going to look at the market here from a number of different perspectives. So here's the traditional charts. And on the traditional charts, we're coming into a trend line here. And we've got a couple of interesting things going on here. We had a pretty strong close on Friday. We had support coming in at this trend line. We're in October. October is typically a month where you get, bottoming action and then a move higher from a seasonal perspective. You have, our momentum is starting to bottom here in the slow stochastic. And you can see that, the MACD is testing its zero line here. So I think we're coming into an area of pretty significant support. Now, there are some divergences in the background here, with this trending indicator here and this higher high. But this sort of has kind of resolved itself by this pullback. So I think we're coming into an area of bottoming here, as I mentioned. What I'm really cognizant of and what I'm really looking for is, I'm just itching to get long here personally, but I'm aware of the fact that, we could get a really quick and fast flush move, and I would like to see that flush move before I actually get in the market, but at the same time, I really don't want to miss the move if we don't get it. So I'm a little bit conflicted here. I like, from a setup perspective, what I'm looking at is I'd like to see momentum shift back up to the high side here, roll back above the 20. I'd like to see a close above the high of this low bar here, and I'd like to see a break of this trend line. So I'm really interested in this area, but I'm going to be cautious here and wait to see if we're going to get a flush move first, or if this is really the pullback. So we're looking at the Dow there on the traditional charts. Let's take a look at the Dow from the Darvis squeeze perspective. Let me just find the charts here. Okay, so we're in a squeeze with a potential breakout. Let's look at the weekly chart. The weekly chart, as I had mentioned, had fired. It had fired back here at 15,532. We had a pullback all the way down to, let's see here, 14,872, which has been, basically, which has been expected. We're looking for, the signal and then the pullback, and then looking to see if we can get some support. So if we look at this, we've got 15,532 minus 14,872. That's a 660 point pullback. Now that's pretty significant. That's sort of what we were looking for. And that pullback came right into the 21 EMA on the weekly chart. We're still in a squeeze, so we're still in a low volatility period. You can see here we're sort of hammering on the weekly chart off of the 21 EMA. So I like that action, and I like this. This has been a pretty significant pullback, and I'm just wondering if this has been the pullback. So from a Darvis squeeze perspective, what I'm expecting over the next, let's say, 3 to 4 months is, to find support somewhere here, push back up through this high, and I'm looking for it to, come into some of these levels. So I'm looking for a move through the highs, like 900 points higher. I know it sounds crazy, but if you go back through the history of this signal, this is basically what it's done the last, 3, 4, 5 times. So I like this. The question is, are we going to find support? Are we going to get follow through? Before that happens, are we going to get a flush maybe into these lows? These lows come in around, a retest of these lows come in around, let's see, 14,664. So that would take us another, almost 200 points lower. So I'm still a macro bull. I'm just looking to see where the market's going to bottom and looking to see if we're going to, catch a bid and push back up to the high side. So that's looking at it from the Darvis squeeze perspective. Now let's look at it from the Ichimoku perspective. We were talking about Ichimoku cloud charting in the last video, and let me just change this chart over to a daily chart. And let's go back 10 years. And if we look at this, okay, let me just format window. Let me turn off. These are all trades that I've been taking. So let me just turn that off. I apologize. I should be pausing the video for this. Let me just see here. Okay, let me just pause the video for a second. Okay, I just needed to pause the video there in order to you know, take that off the screen there. You don't want to see all my intraday orders on a daily chart. It looks like a mess. So if we look at this from the Ichimoku perspective, you know, we're coming into support here. We started to break below the cloud, but you can see the lagging line is starting to hook back up at the bottom of the cloud. Price action is sort of finding support here. If we can come back up above the cloud and, you know, the lagging line comes back up above the cloud, that's this cyan line there, then I would, you know, I'd be really interested in the long side. So this is, you know, this is in an area of indecision. So we don't really have enough information on the Ichimoku technique at this point in time to confirm a buy signal. So I think we're getting pretty close. I'm interested in the buy side. Question is, you know, where are we really going to find ultimate support and push back up to the high side? I like this area because, like, if it doesn't work here, I could place a stop at the low, see if we get follow through, and if not, then just take the stop out and look to reestablish the position if we push, you know, a little bit lower. So at this point in time, that's what I'm looking at. I'm not suggesting anybody else necessarily look at this. That's just sort of what I'm interested in at this point in time. So let's just move on to the S&P. So the S&P, this is a really messy chart. Let me delete some stuff here. The S&P looks sort of the same. You have kind of a trend line here. You broke it a little bit and then you found support. Now you've got this kind of triangle forming. Question is, are we going to break out the top of this triangle? Momentum is starting to bottom as well. The S&P looks pretty good. It looks pretty strong. We had a nice pull back into like 16, close to 1660, which I hear a lot of people talking about that level. It's a pretty good support level. You can see at these highs, consolidate, broke through. Okay, this looks like a pretty good level that it held, 1660, 1665. So the question now is it going to break the top of that triangle and push back up to the high side? And let's look at the NASDAQ. NASDAQ seems to be stronger than the other markets. You can see the NASDAQ really only pulled back to its 21 EMA. This is sort of played out, this measured move. So I'm going to delete that. NASDAQ really it found support at its 21 EMA. It's a lot stronger than the other markets. And, you know, this was hardly even a pullback. And you can see that, you know, the momentum is still really overbought. You know, it hasn't really reset itself. So not really a clear indication in the NASDAQ. Let's just look at a couple of key stocks. Apple. You know, Apple looks sideways. It looks like, you know, it's just building a bit of a base up here. You know, I really, you know, unless we break that trend line, we're holding the 21 EMA. I really don't have much on it. It looks more bullish than bearish, but it looks a little bit overdone. If we break back up to the high side above that trend line, that would interest me. Google. Yeah, I don't really have much on that either. It just looks, you know, it looks a little bit sloppy. So let's take a look at some key currencies, the dollar index. So the dollar index broke this major support here around 80, 87. And, you know, it looks like momentum is trying to bottom. And it looks like it's pushing back up into resistance, maybe to test that breakdown point of around 80, 87. You've got a falling 21 moving exponential moving average coming in around 80, 76. So maybe a test of those levels, and then we'll see from there. But at this point in time, the dollar index is more bearish than bullish, and we're just, you know, coming in to retest resistance at this point in time. The euro broke resistance, and we're trading above it. Looks overbought at this point in time. I think we've got a developing trend line here. We're pretty far away from that. We're far away from a dollar key support, $1.30 rather. And at this point in time, you know, this is just, I mean, in terms of upside potential, a retest of $1.3713 looks doable if we catch a bid, find support at $1.34, let's say, or we stay above $1.34. Then I think $1.37 looks interesting to the high side. Let's take a look at natural gas. Natural gas has just been playing around this 352 level. You've got 325 support below it, but it looks like it wants to hold 352. I'm not sure if we're coming into a period of seasonal strength, with the colder weather, in the accumulation of natural gas, usually for the cold season, for the winter season. But it looks like we're holding support here. I'm looking to see, you've got a high volume area here. I'm looking to see if we're going to hold 352 and maybe push back up to the high side. If not, then I'd be looking for a retest of 325. So it's a pretty wide range. Let's look at crude oil. Crude oil's just been playing around in in this area as well, around $1, not $1, 102. We've got the makings of a momentum shift here. You can see that momentum shift coming in right there, right around this support area, looking to see if we can break resistance and push back up to the high side. It's been a pretty sloppy chart though, and there's not really that much going on there, except we are going higher and we're finding support at this trend line, but we've been in an intermediate downtrend. We've been in a bit of a longer term uptrend, not super long term, but we've got a bit of a longer uptrend, a counter trend, move back down into support. Question is, will we hold the support area with this momentum shift and push up to the high side? If we come back down through these lows, then I think we're going to get a deeper pullback. But at this point in time, it looks a little bit higher to me, but we are struggling with resistance, so I don't really have a lot on that. Let's take a look at gold. Gold's been a really tough market. It's just been killing a lot of people. And at this point in time, we held from this low to this high. We held this 618 move. We're back into resistance. Unless and until we can get above this trend line here, I'm not really interested in the long side of gold, unless we can get above, this minor downtrend line. And if we could get above that, with a clean break, I'd be looking for a retest of, 1380 and possibly a retest of these highs. But if not, if we come back down through the 618, around 1275, let's say, if we come back through that hard, then I'd be looking for a retest as low as these lows, around 11, call it 1178, 1180. So not a lot on gold there. It's kind of in a dead zone here, and I think the decision points come in above this trend line and below this 618. So not a lot on that. Let's take a look at silver. See if that will give us, any kind of a cue as to what it wants to do. Same sort of situation there. It's holding this trend line. The same analysis applies. Let's look at copper. Copper looks sideways to me. Got a lot of levels on here. I should probably get rid of, let's get rid of some of this stuff. And after a while, you forget why you put it on there. But copper to me looks like it's building a triangle pattern. It was building a triangle pattern there. I think this is more the relevant, this is more the relevant pattern. We've got the potential for some type of triangle breakout. I like triangles, so I'd like to see how this triangle is going to resolve itself, if it's going to break to the high side or break down, to the low side. So that looks interesting. And let's see, the 30-year bond. Oh, geez, what a mess. This chart is a mess. 30-year bond is just sideways. And we had this double bottom here. It's just going sideways. Momentum looks overdone here. So a pullback, short term into $1.30, not $1, 132. The 132 level looks interesting. And then looking to see if we can find support there or not. So, you've got this sideways consolidation. You're overdone. Maybe a little bit of a reset. If we break back out to the high side, that wouldn't surprise me either. So essentially, I don't really have much on it. Let's take a look at the 10-year TY. The 10-year, it looks higher, but it looks due for a pullback as well. No market just goes straight up or straight down. It looks like it's due for a pullback. You do have a bullish crossover of the 21 EMA. Yeah, let's see here. You do kind of have a bullish crossover. Let me just see what this yellow EMA is. I changed it to the 40. So yeah, my bad. I usually use the yellow yellow for the 8 EMA, but I was doing some analysis with one of our some traders. We were talking about some markets, and I put the 40 period on there because they look at the 40 period. So let me just change this. You do have a bullish crossover of the 20 above the 40 on the 10 year, so that is bullish. Let me put this back to the 8 period moving average, which it usually is, and you can see you do also have a bullish crossover of the 8 period above the 20 period. So that is, that's looking more bullish than bearish, but I think it might be due for some sort of a short-term pullback. Are there any markets we have not looked at? Let's look at the USD CAD. The USD CAD is it's starting to look a little bit bearish. It's holding support, but we're holding in about $1.03. I really don't have much on it. I don't really like where it's at. I'd like to see it push higher, but that's just my bias. I don't like when the US dollar is trading below the Canadian dollar. Having said that, we're still holding around $1.03, 102, 102.9, and it does look overdone though, so that's why it might pull back lower, and I don't really like that. So, but I don't really have a lot on it in terms of analysis. Are there any markets that we still have not looked at? We looked at the stock indices. We looked at a couple of stocks. We looked at some metals. We haven't looked at the grains in a long time, but I'm not really that interested in them right now, so I won't cover them. We did look at a couple of key currencies. I think that's about it. We're going to wrap that up. We have an upcoming CSTA Oakville meeting on, I believe it's the 9th, next Wednesday the 9th. We're going to have David Cox from CIBC Wood Gundy speaking to the group. It's going to be a really, really good presentation as we continue our series on trading plan development and some key considerations when you're putting your plan together. That is, if you do have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you have to ask yourself why. Most people don't run businesses without business plans, and most people, don't, risk real money without a real plan. So, or they shouldn't, rather, in my opinion. So if you're interested in some key concepts and some key feedback on some of the important things for people that run real money and the considerations that they look at for their planning process and organizing the risk management and things of that nature, you should really try to make it out to this meeting. I'll post out the link to register for the CSTA Oakville chapter meeting that went out with this video. I'll post it out, so keep an eye on that. And there was just one other thing that I wanted to look at, and let me just see here. Okay, I just paused the video there for a second because I had a momentary lapse of memory. So it was Facebook. I was talking to one of our trading friends about Facebook. He's been actively trading it, and just to show you this chart, versus other charts. If you're going to look at things to trade, it's always nice to look at things that are trending. I mean, most traders and investors that I know make money when the markets are trending. Not all, but most. And this is a really nice looking chart. Facebook must be doing something right. Maybe I don't know what the fundamental story is at all. Maybe they're starting to make money through their advertising or whatnot, or the prospects are looking good. But this is a nice looking chart. This is a kind of, uptrend action you want to see. And, this is, this was brought to my attention, and it looks really good. So, I'm not saying I'm interested in buying it where it is, but a nice little pullback. See, like where you see this nice little pullback here into the 21 EMA looks interesting. We had a pullback right around this area here on the in the fast stochastic into the 8 EMA, and then it pushed off. You had a pullback back here. So this looks like it's a nice little 45-degree trend. This looks really interesting. So I just wanted to bring this to everybody's attention, just to look at what a nice chart looks like compared to some of the sloppy charts we've been looking at. So I hope it helps. Good trading and good investing, and we'll look forward to seeing you at an upcoming meeting or at a future video update. All the best.